Thank you everyone for joining us today. My name is Sean, and I will be today's host for our website live designer webinar. And with me here is Omar, who will co-host. So Omar will be in charge of the Q&A section. So if you do have any questions during the webinar, please feel free to ask them in the Q&A box. So in the Zoom client at the bottom there, you should see a button that says Q&A. If you can click that and ask your questions there, Omar will be keeping an eye on that throughout the session and answering questions as we go along. Just some housekeeping. We do want to note that this is being recorded. So we will be recording this session, and after the session, we will be posting them online on our ClubRunner community website. So if for some reason you need to leave, or you do want to watch this at a future date, we will have that available for you sometime in the future. So just note that this is being recorded. And another thing I do want to note is if you notice during the webinar that our video feed here is too large, Zoom does offer a few different view options. So on the very top right, there should be a view button in Zoom. You can click that, and you can change the view option to best suit your needs. So if you do notice that that does need to be updated, you can do that through the view menu option. So with that being said, like I said, today we will be talking about the website live designer. Again, my name is Sean. I'll be the host today, and with me is Omar, who will be co-host. So some items that we will be covering, we'll go over the legacy designer and compare it to the new live designer. We're going to customize our website using the themes and layouts. We're going to work on building the navigation menu. We're going to create a banner for the website, and we're going to work with the widgets, and we're going to see how to use the more popular widgets. So let's go ahead and get started. So here we are on the main admin dashboard. So this is what you'll see when you first log in. And to get to the website live designer, there's a few different options. From here, if you scroll down to the website designer section, we can click homepage designer. Or if you're not on this page, we scroll back up to the top. On the light blue menu bar near the top, we can click new website beta. And then on the gray menu bar directly below, we can click homepage designer. Now, before we get into the new live designer, I do want to mention the legacy designer, which some of you may still be using. So to get to that, on the menu bar near the top, we'll click website. And on the menu bar directly below, we'll click the website designer. So this webinar will be focused on the live designer. I just want to quickly show you the old designer just so we can compare it to the newer live designer. So once we're here, we have a few options here to edit the menu, edit the content, and edit the footer. For now, we'll just go ahead and click edit content. And once this loads, we can see here on the left, we have a list of all of our different widgets, as well as the different widget categories. So we can click through those and see the different widgets that are available. And on the right here, we do have the actual designer. So this is where we can drag widgets in, we can move them around. If we hover over them, we want to see what a specific widget might look like. We can hover over it, click the magnifying glass, and we can see the preview. We, of course, do have the edit and properties option, as well as the remove widget option. So I just wanted to quickly show you the legacy designer. So this is our legacy designer with the widget view for the designer. Now, if we scroll back up to the top, I'm going to go ahead and click new website beta, and we're going to click homepage designer. So this is going to load our new live designer. So you'll notice here that it's much different. On the left, we have our actual live designer here. And on the right, we have a list of all of our widgets. And we still do have those different categories that we can work through as well. One thing I do want to note is that some of you might be using the legacy designer, and you might want to try the new beta version of the live designer. I just want to note that you guys can do that without any setup or additional configuration. Both the legacy designer and the new designer edit the same website, the same content. Excuse me. So if you do want to make the switch, just know that there's no additional setup or any additional configuration required. It's there for you to use, and actually we do recommend using them. The main benefit is, of course, you do have your live designer here on the left. So when you're adding in widgets, you're making changes, you can actually see the changes as you are making them. Whereas the other one, as we saw, it's just the widget view. So you'd have to go and publish and view on the website to see the changes, or you can preview the changes. So just the extra steps. This one does make it a lot easier. So that's just a quick look at the difference between both of those. Now we'll go ahead and get started up at the top here. So we're going to take a look at editing this top section, the menu navigation bar. And first thing we're going to take a look at here is our logo. So if we take a look, let's go to the homepage real quick. We can see here up at the top, we have our menu items. And on the left, we have a logo. And if I'm on, let's say, this custom contact page, if I click this logo, it will take me back to the homepage. So this logo acts as not only just a logo on the menu bar, but it also takes you back home to the homepage. And in order to edit that, what we can do is we can hover over the logo here on the live designer, and we'll go ahead and click edit logo. Once we click edit logo, we'll come to the update menu logo page where we have a few different options here. We have the option for a light menu logo and a dark menu logo. So this will depend on the theme that is currently selected. As you can see here, we have the green active indicator on the dark menu logo. So this is the one that we want to make changes to with this specific theme that we have. So I'm going to go hover over this, and I'm going to click edit image. And we're just going to select an image here. Okay, let's just say we have this ClubRunner image here. And once we upload that, we're going to want to click this publish menu button on the very top right. So whenever you make changes, it's very important that you click that publish menu. So we'll go ahead and do that here. It's going to ask for confirmation. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Once you get that confirmation that the menu has been published, we'll go ahead back to our website here and just refresh. And you can see now we have changed our logo. So if you do want to change that logo, it is fairly simple to do. Let's hop back in here. The last option that we have here is the logo text. So this is specifically for the impression theme. If you want the name of the club to appear next to the logo, you can do that here. So right now, because we're not using the impression theme, we do get that warning that the logo text is not used in this theme. But if you were using that impression theme, you would be able to come into here and enter in your text. So let's go back to the homepage designer. So now that we've taken a look at this edit logo section, let's take a look at the actual menu bar here. So again, we're going to hover over and we're going to click edit navigation. And here we will see all of the menu items that currently appear on the menu bar near the top. So let's go ahead and create a brand new menu item. We'll click this orange add new menu item button on the top right. And we'll see a page here with a few different options. So we have our menu title. So let's just name this webinar. We have a tooltip. So let's just type in tooltip and we'll see how this works. And under link type, we have several different options. So by default, we do have folder selected, but if I click this option here, it opens up a drop-down list of different options. So with the link type, you could set it to a built-in page, which is a page that is built into ClubRunner. So for example, your home page, your bulletin list page, club executive page, things like that, you can link to directly. And you can also link to member-specific pages as well, which will require login. So for things like edit my profile or view the club directory, you can link to those directly. And again, when they click that link, it will ask them to log in if they are not logged in already. So you do have those options there. Under link type, we also have custom page. So if you have a custom page created, you can link directly to that as well. Custom URL will allow you to enter in any URL that you want. So if there's something outside of ClubRunner that you want to link to, you can enter in the URL here. We have an example here for Google. And we also have several other resources that are built into ClubRunner as well. So things like documents, events, homepage download files, photo albums, volunteer sign-up lists, site pages, speakers, and stories. So just for now, we'll go ahead and click built-in page. And let's link to the event calendar. So I'll go ahead and select that. We do have the option here to open the link in a new window. And we can also change the link style. If you hover over this question mark, it will tell you give you a little explanation on each of the options. So for now, we'll just go ahead and leave it as a regular link. And I'm going to go ahead and click save. So you see we have the confirmation up at the top. And if we scroll down to the bottom, we'll see our brand new menu item link called webinar. Now, if I go back to the home page, and I'm going to go ahead and refresh, you'll notice that the last one up here is still custom contact page. So the reason for that is because we did not publish the menu. So as I mentioned earlier, whenever you make any changes, you want to make sure that you publish them. So if we scroll up to the very top of the page, you'll see we do have the publish menu button up at the top. We'll go ahead and click on that, and we're going to confirm the change. Once we get confirmation that the menu has been published, we can go back to the home page. I'm going to go ahead and refresh. And as you can see, we now have that webinar link. And if I click it, it'll take me to the calendar page, just like we set up for. So let's go back. And next thing we are going to talk about for the menu item is creating this drop-down menu. So, you might have a bunch of links that you want to include on the menu, and you want to categorize them to make them a little easier to find. You can do that with the drop-down menu. So to do that, let's hop back in here. We're going to add a new menu item. So we're going to click that same orange button on the top right. And we're going to say webinar folder. Let's just call it a folder. And I didn't show you the tooltip. I will show you that quickly here in a second. And when you want to create the drop-down menu, make sure that the main item link type is folder. So this folder will hold sub-menu items, and we'll take a look at that here in just a second. So I'm going to go ahead and click save. And if we scroll down to the bottom, now we have our webinar folder. And from here, we can go ahead and click add menu item. So we're going to go ahead and click that link. We'll call it menu item. And again, we can just link to a built-in page. There we go. Let's just link to the bulletins, and we'll go ahead and click save. And you'll notice here, actually, just before I click save, we don't have the option for the different link types. These are specifically for items that are directly on the menu bar at the top. We do not have those for these submenu items. And if you do look here, we do have the secondary button option as well as the primary button option. So you could see those there as well. So I'm going to go ahead and just save this here. And if we scroll back down to the bottom here, we now have our webinar folder, and you can see we have the menu item within that folder. So let's go ahead and publish the menu, and let's take a look and see how that looks. So I'm going to just confirm the changes here. Okay, we're going to go back to our home page. We're going to refresh. And you can see now we have a webinar folder. And if I hover over, I can select our menu item here. And when I click it, it does take us to the bulletin list page. Now, one thing I did also, I missed with the webinar is the tooltip. So if you hover over the menu item without clicking on it, you'll see there's a little text that comes up. That's going to be your tooltip. So if you want a short description of this link, what it does, you can include it in the tooltip there. Let's go back to the Manage Homepage menu page. And next thing I want to talk about is organization. So now we know we can create the folders, we can create submenu items, but in terms of organization and order, we also have the option to click and drag these items around on this list to order them correctly. So for example, if I wanted this webinar menu item to be displayed within the drop-down menu, what we could do is hover over these 3 dots here on the left. You'll see the cursor turns into the 4 arrows. We're going to left click and hold, and we're going to drag it into the webinar folder. And once we let go, we can see that the webinar item is now under the webinar folder. And if we scroll back up and publish the changes, we're going to go back to the home page here. You can see now that our webinar item is within the folder. And of course, that does work for just changing the order as well. If I wanted this to appear first, I can, again, left click and drag, and we're going to drag this above the first item, which is home. We can publish the menu. We'll click OK. And if we go back here, we can see now the webinar appears first. So very easy to reorganize and move items around by using these drag points. Now, the last thing I want to talk about in terms of the menu is the option to delete it. So we don't need this webinar menu item anymore. We want to go ahead and delete it. So there is a delete link here on the right. We can go ahead and click on that, and it'll ask you to confirm if you want to delete the webinar, which is the item name. And we're going to go ahead and click OK. One thing I do want to note is that deleting the menu item just deletes the actual link to that resource. So I believe that one linked to the calendar, the calendar page. We're not deleting any content when we delete these items. All we're doing is we're deleting the link to that resource. So don't worry about deleting any content here. You can always go back and add menu items and link to that same resource. We're just deleting the actual link to that resource here. And we can also delete folders. So if we scroll down and click delete on the folder, it's going to ask you to confirm again. This will delete all of the items within the folder as well. So I'll go ahead and click OK. And if we scroll down to the bottom, we'll see that that is now gone. Go ahead and just quickly publish. And we'll go ahead and refresh. And as you can see, the items are now gone. So now that we have talked about that the navigation menu, let's go back to the homepage designer here. And next thing we are going to talk about are these buttons here up at the top. So we're going to take a look at content here a little later on. So first thing we are going to start with is the themes. So I'll go ahead and click the themes button here near the top right. And once we click that, you can see we do have a bunch of different options in terms of themes as well as color options for each theme. When selecting a theme, there are a couple of things that you want to keep in mind. If you want to include a banner, which we will take a look at here next. Make sure that you use one of the themes that support the banner. So as you can see here, the cloud option is next gen and it does support the banner. The option that we have currently selected, community, is next gen, but it does not support the banner. So we don't have that banner section above our menu bar. So if you do want that banner section, do make sure that you use either cloud or elegant, as those are the two that currently support the banner. So just to go through the different theme options that we do currently have, we have the cloud theme, we have the community theme, which is what we're using here, the elegant theme, the impression theme, and this is the one that I mentioned a little earlier that does support that logo text. And then we also have mid-century, millennium, and vision. And for each of these, we do have the color combinations. So if we scroll back up to the top, we do want one that does support the banner. I can go ahead and click this first blue option. And you can see now we do have that banner section up at the top, which we didn't have before. And we have our menu directly below. And you can see it did change the way the website looks. The colors you can easily change as well. So if we want this violet option, we'll go ahead and click that. And you can see it changes the color of the theme as well. So there are quite a few options for you guys to use and play around with. And again, just like what we've seen already, if you don't publish these changes, I'll go ahead and refresh, you'll notice there's no change to the actual website. So you guys can come here, try out a few different options, see what you guys like. We're going to just stick with this blue cloud option. And when you are ready to go, you can just go ahead and click publish. You'll get a little notification at the bottom saying that the publish was successful. And we can go back to the home page and refresh. And now you can see we have our banner and the new theme has been applied. Let's go back to our designer here. So that's the themes. Now, next, we're going to talk about the layouts just before we get into the banner. So I'm going to go ahead and click the layouts option on the top here. And here is what you will use to actually lay out the content of your page. So if we scroll down here on the designer, we'll see that we have a full width banner section near the top. And we also have 3 columns. So we have the main one down the middle, and we have the left sidebar as well as the right sidebar. So that's how you can tell. We do have a little thumbnail image here as well. So when you are selecting the layouts, you can take a look at that and see what that option might look like. So let's take a look at each of these options. We have the full width top band above, and then nine full width bands. So these are all going to be full width. So as you see here, we don't have any content on the left or to the right. Everything takes up the full width. We have the option here to have a menu, side menu or side column here on the right with the main column on the left. So this is just a 2-column option. This is the one that we had previously where we have the main column down the middle and then the 2 sides. We have the opposite of the last one. So we have the main section on the right and a narrow column on the left. And we also have this one that does have a mixture of 3-column as well as full width. So you can get a little bit more flexibility there. And we do have the full width. So all of these options are mobile friendly. So we do recommend selecting one of these. I'll go back and just select this 3-column option here. So all of these are created with mobile responsive design. So whether you're viewing it on a desktop or a mobile device, these layouts will scale accordingly. So just to take a look at that, let's go back to our website here. Let me just quickly show you here. We can preview this on a smaller device, and you can see here it scales down. We have our menu that collapses into this item here, and we can use it nice and easy on the mobile device as well. So go ahead and close that. So again, depending on what your what content you have on the page and how you want to lay it out, there are several different layouts that you can utilize for that. So you can definitely pick which one best suits your style and what content you are displaying. So now that we've talked about the themes and the layouts, let's quickly talk about the banner. So the section here above the menu bar is the banner. And like I said, only the Cloud and Elegant theme support the banner. That's why we didn't originally see this section on the banner or the theme that we used initially because it wasn't supported. So we'll go ahead and hover over the banner and we'll click Edit Banner. And here we can see all of the different banner options that we have. We'll just go ahead and quickly create a brand new banner. So on the top right, we can go ahead and click this orange Add New Banner. Okay, we can give it a title. It does give you the option to change the pixels and the padding, or sorry, the height and the padding, and those are in pixels. We'll go ahead and leave that as is. If we scroll down here, we have the option for a left logo, a background, and a right logo. So if I go ahead and just select Upload Left Logo, and we'll just go ahead and click this ClubRunner logo here. You can now see we have a preview of what this banner might look like. And again, very similar to the left logo. If we click Upload Background, we have a variety of different background options that are available. So if we select this one here, we can see that the background changes. So let's go back here and let's change it to, let's just say this one here. And of course, you could do the same for the right logo. If you wanted to have this logo as a link that's clickable, you can enter a URL into here, and then that will update that entire logo to be clickable. So you can have that direct users to another page or resource. So you do have that option. And down at the bottom, we do have the banner text. So we can come into here and add in some custom text. So let's just say this is our banner. Here we can change the size of the font. There's some predefined ones here. So I'll just go ahead and use heading 2. We're going to go ahead and center this. So there's a, on the editor toolbar, just above the editor section, we do have a bunch of different options. If you want to change the font or the size, we do have those options over here. We also have your standard bold, italicize, underline, strike through. And if you keep going, we do have the alignment options as well. So I just click this center alignment option to align the text. And I'll go ahead and just click Save and Publish. Okay, now if we go back to our list of banners, we can see that we do have our webinar banner with the text and the logo on the left. And we can see that it's highlighted in green and says it is the active banner. So this means that it is currently in use. So we'll go ahead and refresh our website. And you can see now we do have our brand new banner. And of course, if we did want to go back and edit it to make a change, we can click this edit link. If you want to select a different banner that is already created, you can click this button with the arrow, and you can select activate this banner, and that will switch the active banner to the one that you selected. Let's go ahead and do that. So we can see here, ours is still here, but if I go ahead and refresh, we've now changed it back to the original banner. And of course, if we don't need this banner anymore, we can click the same button and we have the delete option. So go ahead and click on that. It's going to ask you to confirm. You're going to click OK. And you do receive that confirmation that the banner has been deleted. And if we scroll down, we no longer see it. So that's how you can go in and create, edit, and set those banners for the website designer. So we're going to go back to the designer here. And now we're going to take a look at this content section here. So we talked about themes, we talked about layouts, and of course the big one here is content. So in this content section, once we click the content button, this is where we have all of our widgets. So if I just collapse this real quick, we do have all of our different widget categories that you can select from. And by clicking on the heading here, it will expand and it'll show you the widgets available within that category. So the first one that we have here is the pre-formatted widgets. So these ones are specific to the live designer. So if you're using the old, the legacy designer that we quickly showed at the beginning, you won't have these pre-formatted widgets. So another great feature to use if you are using that the live designer. And what these are quite literally widgets that are pre-formatted for you. So if there's just some quick content that you want to insert onto the page, you can use these pre-formatted widgets. So for example, if I wanted to add an article with an image, I can go ahead and click this and I'm going to drag it in. And I'm going to drop it here. And you can see here that now I have this widget that is already formatted for me. I have the header section up at the top, some text here. We have the option for an image, and we even have a button. So we can add in a header. Of course, we do have some text here that we can enter, and we even have a button. So if we hover over that and click it, we can change what the button text is. So this is what will appear on the actual button. And similar to what we saw with the menu items, we do have the link type with the various options here. So you can, of course, link to built-in pages and most of the options that we saw earlier. And if you do click the built-in page, again, we do have the option to select the specific page that you want to link to. And link style, we do have the primary button or the secondary button. This just changes the colors. So I'll go ahead and click secondary and you'll quickly see that here. There you go. So primary you can see is a blue button with white text. And if I click this again and click secondary button and go ahead and click save, you can see it just changes the color. And lastly, we do have the image option here. So I'll hover over it and click the pencil icon. And we'll just select this image here. And there we go. So the pre-formatted widgets, we do have quite a few different options. We do have some different alignments with the article and image. We also have a call to action, which is just the 3 buttons, as well as some text and even just a single button. So if there is something quick that you do want to include on the website, you can definitely do that with the pre-formatted widgets. One thing I do want to note is that you can add content to the pre-formatted widgets, but it's not the same as the stories, where stories you can use in bulletins and the website. So just keep that in mind. When you are creating these, this isn't adding it into the stories. These are separate, so these can be used for just adding some quick information to the website. So those are the pre-formatted widgets. Again, we do have several different options. Next, we'll go to the essentials. So let's go ahead and click on that. And here we have some of the most commonly used widgets that we offer. So we do have the meeting information, executives and directors, homepage stories, homepage news, homepage download files, homepage photo albums, the custom pages and site pages. We have the birthdays and anniversaries, as well as the president's message. And we have a contact us and carousel option. So this meeting information widget displays the meeting and club information. If you want to take a look at a widget before you place it onto the designer, you can hover over the widget and click the magnifying glass here on the top right. And once you do that, a box will appear and you can see what information is in this widget and kind of how it'll look. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. This is perfect. I'm going to go ahead and just hover over the widget here. And again, you'll see the cursor turn into the 4 arrows. We're going to left click and hold, and we're going to drag it into the designer. So when you're dragging it into the designer, you want to make sure that you drag it into the section that says drop here. So if I wanted it above the widget that we just created, I can go over here and I'll drop it into this drop here section. We want it on the left, so I'm just going to go ahead and drop here. I see that it says drop here. It is highlighted in green. That way I know I'm good to go. So I'll go ahead and let it go. And you can see here, all of the information is pulled automatically based on the information that I have currently in ClubRunner. So within the widget, if you hover over it on the top right, we have a few different options. So the first option here is the box with the outward arrow, and this is going to be your edit widget option. The next one is the gear icon, which is the properties. And then the third one here is the X, which is the remove widget. So let's go ahead and take a look at the edit widget first. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this icon. And you'll notice with this specific widget, it will take me to the club information section where I can go and, for example, change the club logo, or I can change the club details or anything like that. So one thing to note is that with that edit widget option, the result when you click on it will be different depending on the specific widget. So of course, because we have the meeting information widget, when we click edit, it takes us to the page where we can edit that specific information. If I, for example, edit the stories, it'll take me to the list of stories. In terms of the properties, we're going to go hover over the widget again, and we're going to click the gear icon. And here we have the widget properties. So most of these in the general and the header will be the same or very similar amongst most of the widgets. They cover things like the border, if you want to play around with the padding and the style and how it actually looks. You can do that through these properties. Header properties are things like the title. You can either enable or disable the title. So if we don't want the title to show, we can uncheck that and click save. And you can see now that the title on the widget has disappeared. So I'll go ahead and add that back in by clicking this. And down at the bottom is the content properties section. And this section will be unique to the individual widget that you are working with. So in this case, we are working with the meeting information widget. So we have options like show the logo, show the club motto. You can change the colors. These two are usually on most of them, but a lot of these, as you can see, show link to district website, things like that are widget specific. So for example, if I wanted to hide the club logo, we can see it here. I'm going to go ahead and click save. Now you can see the meeting information title appears at the top and the logo no longer displays. And the last option that we have up at the top here is the X, and this is going to remove the widget. So when you remove the widget, it's important to note that you're not deleting any of this information. All you're doing is simply removing the widget from the designer. So if I go ahead and click X here, let me refresh here. Oh, there it goes. So I went ahead and removed it. It's no longer on the designer, but if I want to add it back in, all I have to do is just drag that meeting information widget back into the designer, and here we go. We have it right back. So keep in mind that when you're clicking the X, you're just removing that widget from the designer. Next one we'll take a quick look at is the executives and directors. So if I go ahead and just drag this here on the right side, again, you'll see the widget appear, and this specific widget lists the executives and directors that we have currently defined. And like I mentioned, just so you guys can see it, if I click the edit widget, it will this time take me to the club executives and directors list. So I can come in here and I can make any changes. It's going back. Perfect. And again, we do have the properties. I just want to show you that it is a little bit different. Again, we do have our general and header properties, as I mentioned. And if we scroll down, we have the content properties. And as you can see, these properties are different from the ones that we saw with the meeting information. If you are playing around with the colors and things like that, and you decide you don't like it, you want to revert back to what it was originally, we do have an option here to restore all to default. And clicking that will restore all of the settings back to the default values. One other thing that you'll notice when looking at these widgets here is that some of these have the magnifying glass, which we mentioned. When you click on it, it will show you the preview. But some of them have this plus sign, and this plus sign means it's going to create an instance of this specific widget. So for example, let's take a look at the carousel widget. So I'm going to go ahead and just click and drag this carousel widget into the designer. And what that does, because it has a plus sign, it's going to create a new instance of that widget. So let's just say this is webinar. And for this carousel, this is our original carousel widget. Shortly here, we'll take a look at our new dynamic carousel widget. But this is our original carousel widget, and it is driven by the photo albums. So with the original carousel, all you have to do is drag it in, select a photo album that you want to use. So let's just select this one here. It says carousel. We have the option to set the transition time in seconds, and we can use this option to match photo sizes. When creating the carousel, it is important to note that you do want the images the same size, ideally. If they are a little bit off, you can use this match photo sizes, and that will help with the sizing of the images. But regardless, we do recommend uploading images that are roughly the same size for the best results. So I'll go ahead and just click save. And that's just going to quickly render here. There we go. So now we could see the webinar carousel that we added in. And because it has that plus sign, we can go ahead and we can drag the same carousel widget in again, and we can create a brand new carousel with different images. So that's what that plus sign indicates. It indicates that you can create different instances of that widget type. So we're just going to go ahead and close this. So we're going to remove this widget. That's the essentials. So let's go down to the carousel section. So as I mentioned, we do have the original carousel, and we have the dynamic carousel. As you can see, this one here is one of our new dynamic carousels. It's got the customizable indicators here, as well as the arrows. So let's take a quick look and see how that works. With the dynamic carousels, we do save them. So as an example here, you could see we have 3 past carousels that we've created. And if I want to take a look and see what image is used, I can click that the preview and it'll load here. For now, we are going to create a new carousel. So let's go ahead and drag this one with the plus sign. The plus sign again means we're going to create a new instance. So we want to drag that in, and I'm going to drag it into this top section here. Now, as you can see with the new dynamic carousel, we do have a lot more options, a lot more customized options and features. So first thing we're going to do is let's upload some slides. So down at the bottom here, we have upload multiple slides or upload an individual slide. I have a few images I want to upload, so I'll go ahead and click upload multiple slides. I'm going to go ahead and click add files. We have our carousel folder here. I'm just going to highlight these three options here, and I'm going to click open. Once I do that, all three will appear here, or as many as I selected, and we're going to go ahead and click start upload. Okay, once the upload is complete, you will get a confirmation message. We're just going to go ahead and click OK. And if we go back down here, we see that the carousel now has the three images. If we scroll up to the top here, we do have the carousel properties, which is just the description. So we can add in a description for this carousel. That way we know, a little bit more about it. And here is where a lot of the magic happens under the widget properties. So I'll go ahead and click edit. So again, this is the property section. So similar to what we've seen before, we have our general, we have the header properties, and here we actually have the settings. So let me just quickly in the header change this to let's just call it webinar slides. And I'm going to go ahead and show the title. And under settings is where we can customize how the carousel is going to look. So we have a few different animation styles. So we have the slide, which is standard. We have the fade, so it'll fade into the next image, cube, cover flow, and flip. So we'll go ahead and let's select cube. We also have the option to select where the indicators are positioned. So we can change that to, let's say, the top. We do have the option for the transition time. Again, this is in seconds. We have the show slide indicator. So if we want to show the indicators, which indicates, where along we are within the images. And we also have the option to show the slide navigation arrows. If we want, we could show the slide title. And again, we do have that same property here, the match photo sizes. All of the images I selected are the same size, so we won't worry about that. We have the carousel zoom view as well. And then down at the bottom, we do have the advanced option. So we do have the paging style. So we can take a look. Let's go to progress bar, and we do have the different colors. So I'll go ahead and just click save. Now that we've gone through that, let's go back to the homepage designer. And actually, just before I do that, one thing I do want to note is that actually, let's take a look at the designer here first. So as you can see here, this is the new carousel that I've just created. There's our title, the webinar slides. And as you can see at the top, there's that little blue section here. Let's go ahead and publish this so we can see it on the live website. So there it is. And you can see at the top here, there's that blue section. That's the progress bar. So if I click this, now you can see that progress bar increases. We only have 3 images. So, they're all into thirds. And there we go. You can also see we do have the text here. This can be edited. If we go back, hover over the carousel and click the edit option. If we edit the actual slides down at the bottom, the title is what appears here. So I could say, I could change the title here. You have, of course, the option for the description, and you have the option to set the link. You can update this text to be a link to, again, anything that you would you'd like. For now, we'll just go ahead and leave that because I know we are running out of time here. And let's go back. Just click publish just to make sure the changes are saved. And we're going to go ahead and refresh. And you can see there's my title change. And you'll notice when I switch it, as you can see, we selected the, I think it was the cube option. So when we flip this, it kind of looks like a cube. And that's kind of the effect. As we saw a little earlier, we can go back and we can change those as well. So if we flip, go ahead and save. Let's go back. I'm just going to go ahead and publish. And you can see now you have the different animation. So it kind of flips like a book. So that is the dynamic carousel. Next, we have the links. So this will just create a list of links. So if we scroll down to the bottom, we actually have an example here. So if you guys have some links that you want to display on the page, not specifically on the menu bar, but just on the actual page, you can use this links widget to do so. And as you can see here, we have a club and story link widget, and we have 2 links within the widget. So an easy way to add any extra links that you might want onto the page. Next we have here is events. So for things like upcoming events, if you want a mini calendar or a list of speakers, you can add those as well. So if I quickly drag in this mini calendar, you can see there's a calendar, and we can even drag in the upcoming events. And you can see the events that are upcoming. I actually have it already here, so I'm going to remove it from here. And that'll just display the list of upcoming events. Next, we have bulletin and PR. So we have the bulletin subscribe link. So if we preview this, we could see that this provides a link that can be used for users to subscribe to the bulletin. So that's a nice way to get more people reading the bulletin. We also have a bulletins widget, which will allow you to list out the bulletins that the club has so that it's easier for users to read through those past bulletins. We have a Facebook like button, rotary links. This is not editable, it's done by the system. And these are specific links pertaining to rotary. Next, we have the RSS feed. So if you have an RSS feed that you want to display, you can use the RSS widget. We also have our all sponsors, animated sponsors, and single sponsors. So if you want to add sponsors, if the club has sponsors, you can use one of those 3 widgets to display them on the page. All sponsors will display all of the sponsors in a list. The animated sponsors will display them in a slideshow, and a single sponsor will display just one sponsor randomly. So if you refresh the page, you'll get a different sponsor. And the last option we have here is the Facebook page plugin. So this one is a very popular widget. So we'll go ahead and we'll take a look at this one a little bit more in depth. So I'm going to hover over, I'm going to click and drag the widget into the designer here. For this one, I do want it in the main section in the middle. So I'll go ahead and drop that there. And as you can see, by default, it sets up the Facebook plugin with the Facebook page. In order to change that, we can go into the properties here, the little gear icon. Again, we have our general and header properties, but if we go down to the bottom, we have the Facebook page plugin settings. This Facebook URL is going to be the URL for your specific page that you want to embed. Right now, it's pointing to Facebook. I'm just going to change this to ours. So facebook.com/ClubRunner. And let's just go ahead and save that and see what happens. Perfect. And as you can see here now, instead of showing the Facebook, it shows ClubRunner. I'm going to go ahead and click the properties again. I'm just going to actually disable the show title. And now what we're going to do is let's enable some of these options. So let's enable the timeline. So this is going to show all of the posts. We can show events, messages. We don't want to hide the cover photo. That's this image that we have here in the back. I like that, so I'm going to keep that. Those options are fine, and I'm going to go ahead and click save. And there you go. As you can see now, we have our Facebook feed directly embedded into our page, where people can interact with it directly. So if I go ahead and publish this and refresh, there we go. We can see, and if I scroll down, you can see all of the recent posts that we've made. We can even go to events and messages. So fully integrated Facebook plugin, very simple to set up and very powerful. Let's go back to the designer here. And the last couple of options that we have here are the custom widgets, global, and custom widgets page specific. So the global custom widgets are custom widgets that can be used across all of the pages, whereas page specific will only appear for this specific page. So the custom widget is great if you want to add custom content. So let's scroll down here and let's add this custom widget into the section here. So with the custom widget, you can hover over it. Let's click the edit. And actually, just before I do that, one thing I do want to make a note, let's cancel this, is with the custom widget, if you hover over it and click the pencil icon, we can edit it in line. One thing to note is that you don't have as much flexibility with the editor options. So yes, you can edit it in line, and to save, you just have to click outside of the editor. But if you need additional options within the editor, you can hover over and click the edit widget option. We're just going to go ahead and edit the draft version. And here we can edit the title. And we can add the custom content. And of course, here you can add text. You can add images if you'd like as well. Let's just take a picture of this robot. Let's make it smaller. So we can change these when you're updating or uploading an image. On the image properties window, we can click Browse Server to select an image. And we also have these neat features here on the left where we can change the width and height. You also have the option to set a border, horizontal space, vertical space, and you can align the image. Let's go ahead and click OK. And there we go. So we have our custom content along with our little robot friend. So for the custom widget, we can go ahead and click Save and Publish. And if you scroll down, there is our new widget. So if there's any custom content you want to include, you can do that through the custom widget. One thing I did also want to quickly cover, which I did miss here, is the stories. So that's the custom widget. The stories, which we have here, homepage stories, is this widget here. So again, this is a very popular widget. If the club is creating stories and you want to display it on the page, you can use this homepage stories widget to do so. So as you can see here, we do already have one created. I'm going to hover over it and click the edit widget option just to show you how you can easily add and remove stories. So here we can see a list of all of the stories that are set to display on the page. If I want to add an existing story, I can click Add Stories from the Story Library. Let's just add this test, and I'm going to click Add Selected Stories. And you can see the test option appears at the top. If I wanted to, I could also use these grab points, again, the 3 dots, and I can reorder them. So if I want test to appear second, I can do that. If you want to create a brand new story, you do have that option as well. You can click the Create New Story option, and here is where you can enter the story information. So I'm not going to go into too much depth with creating a story, but you can do that through the widget here. Okay, now we're okay. We're happy with that. We're going to go back. And you can see now there is our test story as the second one, the second story that's available on the widget. Now, if I go back to edit and say I want to remove this specific story, on the right, I can click the actions button and I can click remove. Now, when I remove it, I'm not deleting the story. All I'm doing is I'm removing the story from the widget. So if I click remove, it'll ask me if I'm sure I want to remove, and it'll even say, note that this story will still be available within the story library. So we're not deleting it from the story library, we're just removing it from the widget. I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and you can see it's removed. And just to show you that it isn't actually deleted, if I go back and click Add Stories from the story library, you can see the test is still there. So I'm just going to leave that as is. I'm going to go back. And the last thing I am going to show you guys here is the properties for the stories. So if I hover over the widget, I'm going to click the gear icon. We're going to go scroll down to the bottom. And here we have the option for different layouts. So if I select regular, this will just list out these stories in a regular list. We also have the option to show the read more link, which will link to the full story. And we have the option to limit how many stories to display. So I'll go ahead and just click save. And you can see here, we have our regular layout. And if I go ahead and just publish this, I'm going to come back here. We could see before we had this scrollable option. Now, if I refresh, we have the regular layout. So this is all just laid out in a list. And we do have this read more button. So if I click on this read more button, it will take you to the full story. So that is about all we have for our webinar today. We did cover all of the Live Designer options. So what I'm going to do is, I know Omar has been answering the Q&A as the session has been going on. So I'm going to pass it over to Omar just to go over some of the live Q&A and wrap it up. So thank you very much.
Thank you for the wonderful webinar and showing us all those amazing features, widgets, themes, and layouts for the new websites, John. That was wonderful. I'm going to take a moment to answer some of the questions we have received throughout the webinar. So I've pulled up the demonstration account here on my screen. One question we've received is, what is the difference between the news and stories widgets for the Club website designer? So that's a great question, Bruce. Thank you for sharing with us. The homepage stories and homepage news widgets are really ways for you to include two different lists of website stories on the Club website. So let me show you what I mean. I'm going to go into the homepage designer and sort of leading into my other question. I know some people had asked, how do I access the new website designer / do I have to pay to access this designer? No, it is part of the ClubRunner standard package. If you have this website module in your club member area, you should also have this new website beta module. Returning to our homepage stories, homepage news question, I'm going to go into the homepage designer, and that's right there in the gray bar just below. And once I've pulled it up, I'm going to scroll down here, and here we can see the homepage stories widget Sean had added to the page, and it is set in its list format. If I go ahead and close down our pre-formatted widgets group and open up the essentials widget grouping, I can go ahead and drag on the homepage news widget. I'm going to put it in this left column so that you can compare the two different lists of stories here. So here on the left, we have our homepage news widget with its list of stories. And in the middle column here, we have the homepage stories widget in contrast to the homepage news, which can show more information. And I guess I should also say is the homepage stories widget is a little beefier and has more options on how you can set the layout for the story. So Sean had shown you the scrollable layout where the stories scroll from side to side. And to do that, I've opened up the properties for this widget by hovering over the widget and clicking the gear icon in the top right. And then to get to the specific widget content properties, because a lot of these general properties are the same for all of them, I just go scroll all the way to the bottom of the properties. And for the homepage stories widget, we can change the layout in this settings grouping. And I'm just going to go ahead and compare that scrollable story list type to the homepage news regular layout, which cannot be changed for the homepage news. So just keep that in mind. It looks like it's drafting these changes. If I refresh the page, we should see that scrollable layout. There it is. It's returned and the stories scroll side to side. Another good question Jane asks is there a webinar that covers the creation of stories? Yes. If you go to clubrunner.ca/webinars, you can learn more about managing the website content for your club website, including the story library and sponsors library in that webinar session. I'm going to go ahead and pull up clubrunner.ca/webinars, and I'm just going to type that in for you guys again. So clubrunner.ca/webinars. And then I press enter and our webinars page will load. If I scroll down just a bit, I believe it's set in September. We do have weekly webinars that cover over all of the modules in ClubRunner. And for stories, sponsorship library, documents, our website content management webinar is on September 1st. And you can register for the webinar by clicking the date for the webinar, and this page will load where you can include your first name and other information to sign up for the webinar. So just keep that in mind, clubrunner.ca/webinars. You can find all of our different webinars covering modules on our regular webinar schedule. And to sign up, just click the date for the webinar. Okay, returning to the homepage, I know I had received some questions about what is the magnifying glass that's available in the widgets versus the plus icon. So if a widget has content already saved to it, you will find that it appears with this magnifying glass. A lot of these essential widgets are just made for the club, and that's why they all have magnifying glass. If we click the magnifying glass, we can preview the content in that widget. And for this homepage download files, I see we have a few download files associated to it, but you can also do this for any pre-formatted widgets that are created in your club database or custom widgets that include text or images. So just pulling up the pre-formatted widgets here, if I click this magnifying glass for this article with right image 1, this is a saved version of the article with right image new widget. So I'm going to go ahead and click this magnifying glass for this one. And it looks like it's mostly empty, but that's basically the difference. These plus icons are new widgets with no information in them, where the ones with a magnifying glass have some information in them and they've been saved and they're reusable. And you can just preview that content and drag the widget onto the page by clicking and dragging the one with the magnifying glass just onto the page. Another question I had received, and this is a good chance for me to address it, is for these article with right image or article with left text or whichever ones, how could we remove the button from appearing in the widget? And that's really straightforward. Really, to remove the button, you just need to hover over the button and click that gear icon, then completely remove the text that's available for the button. And once I save this, the text for the button will display as empty, and if I publish the page, you'll see that the button does not appear on the homepage. So I've published our change. This is the second article with left image. So this is the first one. Oopsie doodle. There's our Facebook plugin. Just below that, we have this is cool widget, and this one has the button. But for the second one I added to the page, I removed the button text, and now there is no button for the widget. So that's how you can remove the button for those that essentials article with image widget. Another good question that I had answered a few times over the webinar is, how do I get access to update our club homepage? The access level to access the homepage designer is the 30 site administrator access level. And that's the only access level that's able to make changes to your club homepage. So just keep that in mind. As a site administrator, you can assign that same site administrator access to other members, and that would allow them to make changes to the club website. Okay, I do want to showcase at least another widget that I know a lot of clubs like to use in your homepage designer or custom page live designer. If we go to this, I believe it is this essentials grouping. Perfect. If we go to this essentials grouping, you'll have this contact us widget, which you can use to include an anonymous contact form on your club website. And what I mean by that is, once we have this widget on the page, if somebody tries to send an email to the club, they will not see the email address that this contact widget is set with, as opposed to placing an email on the website. And let me show you what I mean. I'm going to go ahead and drag this contact us widget below the club's mini calendar. And I guess I should mention that you can drag and drop a widget above or below any other widget and choose where it drops. I'm just moving my cursor slightly up to drop it above the widget, or slightly down to drop it below that widget. So let's go ahead and drop it below it. And once I've dropped the widget into there, it'll ask me to set the properties for the widget. Really, it's this title and contact us email for these widgets you really want to set. I'm going to go ahead and submit your contact form to us, just as some random text for our example here. And then for the email, I'm just going to use example at our example email domain here. This does not work, but I just want an example email address to show you that these email addresses are hidden. So I've set the email address. I'm going to go ahead and save the email address and title for our widget here, and that'll kick me back into the homepage designer. If I scroll down some more, you'll see the submit your contact form to us widget title. And if I scan this widget contact, I do not see that email address. So when a visitor comes to this website, let's go ahead and publish the changes, and I'll show you exactly what this looks like. So I've clicked publish, and I'm going to open up the homepage and refresh it. And to do that, I've just clicked that refresh icon. And if I scroll down, it looks like the CAPTCHA is sort of breaking the margins. We'll take a look at that. But if I scan this widget, I do not see where I can find that example email address. It's all locked away behind the widget. So just keep that in mind. If you're looking to post anonymous contact forms for your club website, use that contact us widget in the essentials category, and it'll do you good by hiding that information from any malicious people viewing your club website. Okay. I also know some watchers had asked us, how can I make changes to the club's website without posting them, so that another member of my club can review the changes to the website? So if this is our current website, we can leave it as it is, and then enter the club's homepage designer and choose not to publish any changes. For example, on the club's homepage here, we can see that we have these two sets of slides. Say that is part of how it is currently set. You can close out those widgets and make it look more up to date, or however you'd like to phrase that, in your designer, and then choose not to click this publish button. So allow me to explain a little further. I'm going to go back to the member area in this tab, but if I refresh our homepage, I've made no changes. It still looks the same with those two slides, the Facebook plugin widget and this is cool widget. If after saving those changes in the homepage designer, I've closed out of it, I'm going to go back into the homepage designer by clicking new website beta, then homepage designer again in the gray bar below. And you can see that that carousel widget I had removed in the designer is still removed. In addition to that, this is cool article widget with the button. That's also removed, but we still haven't published these changes to the homepage. So if you're looking for a way to make changes to your club homepage without publishing them, just make them in your homepage designer and don't publish them. Just leave them there, and you or another member can come back at any point in the future and see what that website administrator has done to change the website page. Okay, so that's another tip that I know, or at least I hope a lot of clubs will gain some value from, is making those changes in your designer without publishing them to the homepage, so that your colleagues can review and submit their feedback, and you guys can refine how you'd like to look, make the website look. Okay. I think that's as much time as I have for our questions. I do want to mention, if you have any additional questions or you didn't get to ask your question or get your answer, please reach out to us. ClubRunnerSupport.com is the ClubRunner knowledge base. Here we have all of our guides, help articles, and some recorded webinars from our regularly scheduled webinars. I'm just going to go ahead and click that, and you can see we have our recorded webinars as well as our video tutorials. If you'd like to send us a question, in the top right of ClubRunnerSupport.com, you'll see this blue Contact Us button. And if we click that, a new form will open where you can submit your question to us with your email address and name, and we will receive it to get back to you. You can also include some files and your club account name. That'll help us find your club account. I also want to share, as this is our last ClubRunner Changeover Training Series webinar, you will find all of our recorded webinars for the Changeover Training Series on the clubrunnercommunity.com website. So in my browser tab, I'm just going to type in clubrunnercommunity.com and then click enter, and that'll take us to the community. All of the videos will be posted in this general section. I'm going to go ahead and click general. And up at the very top, this sticky post, Changeover Training July 2021. If I click this post, we've only got one video in there for now, but rest assured we will be posting more and more of the videos that we've done over these last 2 weeks into this post. So keep your eyes peeled here in the general section for the recorded webinars. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today, and Sean for taking care of that wonderful webinar. I will go ahead and log out now. I'll leave you guys with this information page, and thank you so much for attending, everyone.